Welcome to Sometimes There's Side Eye, a podcast about two friends having real and unfiltered conversations about dogs and people. Listen as we talk about our lives with dogs, training, behavior, share some laughs, and a whole lot of banter. I'm Heather.
And I'm Christy.
What are we talking about this week, Christy?
This week, we're going to talk about a conversation I had with one of my neighbors recently. We were talking at lunch, and her and her husband were discussing how they would like to consider adding another dog to their house. They have a corgi, and they've stayed in touch with their breeder. They really like their breeder. The breeder seems kind, has stayed in touch with them, all the things. And they love their dog. So they've started talking to the breeder about adding an additional dog to their home. And as we were talking, well, one of the neighbors said, well, you just need to go to the shelter and get a chihuahua. They don't want a chihuahua. Like, we're not doing that. So instead, I steered the conversation in a different direction. And I just started asking them about their breeder and kind of what they wanted out of their next dog. And one of the things that surprised me about them wanting to go back to the same breeder was their dog has a lot of phobias. So was scared of new environments, scared of noises. There's just a lot that he's scared of. And in that conversation, I was asking them, well, why would you go back to a breeder who gave you a dog or sold you a dog that has all these phobias? And they said, well, because the breeder's nice and he stayed in touch and all these things. And I finally said, well, you do realize that you can actually breed for confidence and, temperament and all these things. And they had not considered that. And I thought that was so interesting because then I thought, oh, would I have known that 10 years ago? Probably no, I wouldn't have. And then when I mentioned it to my brother, he said, oh, I would have thought that it was just that individual dog and just his personality. I would have never thought those were characteristics passed on from breeding.
I find this whole thing fascinating, of course. A couple things that I was thinking as you were talking. One, I think that there could be traits that are particular to certain breeds or certain
Of
dog
course.
types.
Absolutely.
So I initially was thinking while you were talking that different breeds have different traits
Sure.
and how much of idiosyncrasies or quirks, as we're now calling them,
Mhm.
could be attributed to a dog's particular breed type and that it's correct
Mhm.
versus a little bit more extreme, maybe correct, but then it's extreme in a certain case, things like
Sure.
that. So I quickly looked up just now because I don't know a lot about corgis, and it
Same.
looks like that they can be sensitive to noises,
Mhm.
but they should not be lacking in confidence. And that is a
Mhm.
very big distinction.
That is.
Noise
Yeah.
phobia can be very common in herding type breeds, herdy
Absolutely.
breeds. And so that doesn't shock me, but the lack of confidence. Every corgi I have ever met has been like, "What's up? I'm the life of the party. Here I am.
Mhm.
Anybody want to meet me?" And so the lack of confidence thing is the thing that made me go, "Really? A corgi?"
Mhm.
And I think this whole, first of all, those people are so lucky that you were there because they might have ended up with a chihuahua.
They were not ending up with a chihuahua. That is
Not really, but
another
they're
discussion.
they're lucky that you were there because then you could bring up these questions and sort of challenge, like, hey, is this really somebody that you want to go back to? And here's some things to think about because
Mhm.
getting a dog from a nice person is not
Mhm.
enough. And it's not enough for a lot of reasons.
Mhm.
It's not enough because we want to make sure people are breeding good, solid dogs that are correct for what their breed is.
Yeah.
And then we also want to make sure, which I'm glad to hear that the breeder's staying in touch. That's great.
Mhm.
We want to make sure the dogs are being sold on contract and they're not going to end up in the shelter system. We want to make sure that there's health testing happening that's appropriate for the breed. this whole gamut of things, right? So it's really interesting to me that there was no connection, but also it doesn't surprise me at all whatsoever
Yeah.
because I'm a person who grew up with parents who showed dogs before they had kids,
Mhm.
with a mom who worked for a judge, an AKC judge in a
Mhm.
kennel, and went to dog shows as a teenager and in some throughout my life. And when my husband and I, when we were dating, decided to get a dog, we were like, oh, well, as long as it's AKC registered, then that's all you need to do, right? Like,
Mhm.
even we did not make that connection
Yeah.
that it is so much more than that. And
Mhm.
so I can't really be surprised that these it didn't occur to these people. And thank goodness you were there to sort of say, well, what about this?
Mhm.
How was their response?
Yeah, I definitely went at it with curiosity,
Yeah.
which is is so different than saying you have to do this or you should do this.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to live with this dog, so
Yeah.
whatever they do is up to them. Like
Yeah.
I don't care. Like I'm not going to reap those results personally. So they were pretty open to it of discussing it, and they had said we've decided probably not for the next year or so, just kind of talking to the breeder, and they had a litter on the ground that they wanted them to consider, and she's like, I just feel like it's too much right now. And I was like,
Mm,
I think you that's smart. Figure out your home life and what you really love about your dog, and then if you want that again, or if there's other qualifications or characteristics that you're looking for in a dog, and if that means going with a corgi from the same breeder or a different breeder or a different breed altogether, or what you guys want out of your
mm-hmm.
next dog. And I
Mm-hmm.
and I just told her, I said, hey, when you think you guys are ready, if you want to talk to me about it or bounce anything off, just let me know. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not going to tell you you have to get a Chihuahua from the shelter. That's clearly not what you want, and I'm not going to pressure you in that way. And they're like, really? Because you're the only one here who has a shelter dog. And I was like, yeah. And
Isn't that ironic?
I go, and personally, I think he's the best dog out of all of them.
Yeah.
I love him. But I also won't tell you you have to get something that you don't
Yeah.
want.
And you're not going to walk into the shelter. It would be very rare to walk into
Yeah.
the shelter and find a corgi.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Yeah. I mean, how many times did we see
Yeah.
corgis?
I can't
Maybe
think of
twice.
ever. I don't
I
I
feel
can't even
like
think of
maybe
once.
twice. Like one was an owner hold that went home back to its
Oh,
owner, like
yeah.
escaped and went back. I think I saw one in 10 years of volunteering
Yeah.
at the shelter.
You
Yeah.
can tell the people if they decide that they want to explore other breeders that I'll help them too.
Oh, I will.
I would be happy to. I see a
Yeah.
lot of corgis in scent work, which I find very
Yeah.
interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
they are a working dog. I mean, they're not in the working group, but they're a working dog. They're
Yeah.
a herder.
Which is what made me think of the confidence, because I
Yeah.
met a Yorkie, and no, sorry, a corgi,
Little bit different.
a Yorkie taking down cattle.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I
Oh
love it.
my, actually, yes.
Okay, you guys, everybody stop and picture that.
Yeah.
Um, a corgi at a barn hunt trial. And as I was talking to the owner in the blind, she was telling me her dog actually works cattle and
Hmm.
works livestock. And I was like, what? You got to be
Yeah.
kidding. And she's like, no, that's what they're bred to do. I go, well, yes, that's what they were meant to do, but nobody actually uses them for that anymore. And she's like,
Are
well,
you
I
sure?
do. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's amazing. Like, that's okay. If you can get still the working line, then there should be confident corgis out there and things that we can work with.
Yeah. It's kind of like I get a little like my heart breaks a little bit when I see an English bulldog that's afraid, that's really fearful, because I'm like, these dogs literally were bred to bait bulls, grab bulls by the face. I mean,
Yeah.
and literally stand up to a bull. So it always sort of like cracks my heart because I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh, it's so not. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's terrible. You know, it's just sad to me.
So against what they were meant to do, like the
Yeah,
breed.
intentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think, well, and it's interesting too that you may had this whole conversation and relate it to your brother, and your brother too was like, "Oh, well, I would have never put that together." And I guess that's like one of those things where I, as a person, value you and your perspective because it reminds me where people start
Mhm.
and that we all come from somewhere. And there have been times where we've had conversations, maybe in the last year, where I've said to you, you know, isn't it crazy that I grew up in this world that I grew up in? Granted, I didn't go to dog shows as like a little kid, but I was very much around dogs. And I even did not make the connection as a I'm trying to think. I was 24 when I got Link, my first Rottweiler. I myself didn't make the connection that
Mhm.
AKC registered was not enough and
Didn't really mean much
didn't
of
mean
anything.
shit.
Yeah.
And it's just a registry. So
Yeah.
let me just say that for everyone. AKC is nothing more than a registry. And it doesn't mean that I'll use a Rottweiler as an example. It doesn't mean that your Rottweiler is well bred. It doesn't mean that the dog that you're getting is actually going to exhibit exactly what you expect for the breed. It is
Mhm.
nothing more than a registry that makes money.
Right.
Sorry, but true. I'm not saying there's not a use for it. I'm not saying that, like, I have three dogs that are registered with the AKC. I compete in their sports. I'm, around AKC people. But
Is Tater
yeah.
registered with you? I didn't know that. Your
So
little
Tater,
rescue bulldog. Oh,
well, let me explain. So Tater is adopted. I'm sure everyone knows. He came from an breed specific bulldog rescue.
right.
He did have papers
Mhm.
that the rescue had from the original owner, but it was for some like obscure registration organization. And they were like, "Do you want his papers?" I was like, "I don't care." But he very much looks English Bulldog and
For sure.
is English Bulldog.
Yeah.
So I went through the AKC PAL program
Oh, okay.
and I submitted pictures of Tater.
Mhm.
You have to submit certain pictures so that they can review them and determine, does he actually look like an English Bulldog?
Mhm.
And you have to, I think I had to measure him, whatever. And then you also have to say that they're spayed or neutered because you don't have a pedigree for this dog. So
Mhm.
I agree, he is not a breeding prospect.
Right.
So he was already neutered when he came to us. So I submitted all that. The reason I did it that way, because I could have put him just in as a mixed breed and still
Sure.
competed in
Yeah.
AKC, which is what Jackson's doing.
Yeah.
I wanted Tater's accomplishments to go towards the English Bulldog breed
Yeah.
because it's a rare breed to go out and do something and
Yeah.
be a performance dog. So I
Mhm.
really wanted him to like have the opportunity to be recognized as a performance English bulldog. So
Yeah.
yes.
Absolutely.
Anyway, the AKC is just a registration. Like that's
Yeah.
it. So when we bought Link, there were 75 million red flags all over the place.
Mhm.
But we were like, he's AKC registered. That's all it needs to be. Blah, 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 blah. It wasn't until he was a behavioral shit show and I needed help and came across a forum, which before
I
Yahoo
mean,
groups, before social media, there were forums. Went to the
oh,
Rottweiler forum and met all of these people who many are still friends today who said, "Uh-oh, that's not enough. We need to make all these connections on temperament and how the puppy's raised and all of the stuff that you and I now talk about all the time.
Yeah.
So I think there again, it's a lack of education,
Hmm.
a lack of open conversations, not just conversation, but open conversations,
Hmm.
a lack of curiosity, and a lack of people willing to keep their mind open.
Hmm.
I mean, your friends are obviously committed to the corgi breed. They like the corgi breed,
Yeah.
but that doesn't
And
mean
he's
that
a
they've
great
made that
dog.
connection. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. I
Yeah.
mean,
We thoroughly enjoy him as a pup friend.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't mean he's a bad dog. It's
Yeah.
just I want everyone to have
Yeah.
exactly what they expect they're going to get
Mhm.
and a good.
I don't know. Do you ever really get everything you expect?
Well, that's why I was like, listen, I can want it. It doesn't mean it
Okay.
happens.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want people to get the dog that they think that they're getting.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have to be realistic too. I'm
Right.
realistic.
I want everyone to have a good dog.
A
That
good dog. Yeah, that's
just
what I
a
was
good
gonna
dog.
say
Yeah.
next. Like, I want everyone to have a stable, good dog.
And however they define good is
Yeah.
is fine by me.
But that's why I like the word stable,
Um,
you know?
yeah.
Because if you expect to get a Rottweiler, I want you to get what you expect from the breed. If you read, hopefully, if you're looking for a Rottweiler, you're reading what they are and what their temperament and whatnot is. And you're getting what you expect, and that the dog
Mhm.
is stable.
Yeah.
So these people, I don't think they would have said, I want to get a corgi and I expect it to be fearful.
Right. No, 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 no. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to what you said about curiosity and being open, I think part of that is not forcing your ideas onto other people as well,
Ooh.
and not giving advice that you're not willing to take yourself.
Mm.
Like the person who said you need to get a chihuahua from the shelter. Well, guess what? She wanted a schnauzer and she went to a breeder and got a schnauzer.
Interesting.
But she thinks that other people should only go to the shelter
Yeah.
because she says, well, my breed isn't at the shelter. Well, neither are the corgis.
Yeah.
So I just approached it like, hey, those are not things I'm not looking for a purebred, but if you are looking for a purebred, let's not put my ideals on you. Like you have to get a mixed breed or you have to get Jackson would not be happy in their home. They're
Yeah.
very nice people, but they're not equipped for Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I get
know?
that.
Yeah,
It's true. I don't want someone to tell me how to live my life. So
exactly.
like why would I would not want to tell someone else how to live their life. I hope I don't do that. That's like a terror. I don't want to be doing that. That is not a trait I want to see in myself. You know?
Yeah.
Like I don't I mean
Not me over here trying to think if you do that.
I know I'm
I'm,
watching your face and I'm trying to be like,
I'm
is
like,
she like thinking that I do that?
no, I was like, I can't think of anything, but
But
but I do feel like maybe we used to be more
oh,
like
could
that.
be. Well,
But
I'm
I
just
can,
sitting here and
yeah,
I'm like, gosh, but I also am aware enough to be like, well, I don't want everyone to have a Rottweiler. I don't want everyone to have that breed, right? I don't want everyone to have a pit bull. I don't. I want people who are committed to what it takes for each individual dog to live a good life with them and them to get live a good life with that dog to get that dog, you know? So, I mean,
you know what?
hmm,
I definitely know I used to be more of that person because just a few years ago, I went to a
only a few
party.
years.
A few years ago, I went to a party and a guy was talking about a dog he was going to be getting from Mexico,
Okay.
a purebred. And I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but so he was talking about it. And the other girl in our group who has known me for years, like sat down and she goes, "Get him, Christy. Get him. You get him, Christy. Tell him
Oh
what's up. Get him."
man.
And I and I was like, "Well, tell me more about that. Why are you guys going to Mexico?" And he ended up having a connection there through his boyfriend at the time, or yeah, I think it was his boyfriend at the time, had family there who were breeders, and so they knew. And I was like, "Well, what makes you want that breed?" And so we just had an open conversation, and she's like, "This is not what I was expecting from you,
Oh
Christy."
my gosh, because you've evolved.
I was
Yeah.
always the person who was like, "Let me just get you a rescue dog."
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, if you want a rescue dog, come to me because, like, I just want to get you a rescue dog.
Fair. That's fair.
That would be my heart's desire. Like, you know how you want just like people to get the dogs that they want? I'm like, I mean, if I'm totally honest, deep down inside, I'd love everyone to have the perfect rescue dog for them.
Yeah, I know. And you're like, come to me, I'll find you a rescue dog. And I'm over here. If your friends need help finding a corgi breeder, like just let me know.
Right? Which is why it's so important to know people from each side
All
so that
walks of life.
we can say, "Hey, I don't have those resources or skills. Let me get you in touch with someone who does."
I agree. I agree.
Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's just important that one, dogs have good homes.
Yes.
Two, people are getting the dogs that they want and enjoy.
Hmm.
And also, we're keeping dogs out of shelters.
Yes, I agree. And we can do that if we go to responsible rescues and ethical breeders.
If you've enjoyed this episode, subscribe, rate, and share us wherever you get your podcasts. Also, come on over to Instagram and engage with us at Sometimes There's Side Eye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.